You know, the mind controls the brain, and the brain controls the autonomic nervous system. And when we talk about food and diet, your diet should be based on what your autonomic nervous system says. So I pay particular attention to that, always have for the last 40 years. And the biggest cause of dysfunction or disease is the fact that people are eating the wrong foods for their nervous system type. So we have to adjust. If you want to have balance in the body, chiropractors believe in and they work toward homeostasis, which means balance. And you can achieve balance by other means, but this is the way that we work with balance. And when you incorporate dietary care with this, it makes it a lot easier to attain balance. So what I want to tell you is the fact that in treating patients, utilizing the autonomic nervous system as a guide to their nutrition, and we have a lot of success with that, except for the patients who want to do otherwise or don't follow that recommendation or even want to test it, because this is through testing. The testing tells us basically which part of the nervous system is active, if it's balanced. In most cases, it's not. We see one more dominant than the other. We're talking about the autonomic nervous system, which has two parts, your sympathetic and parasympathetic portions. And one is rest and digest, your parasympathetic portion. The one's more active, fight, flight, or fight, is your sympathetic nervous system. And so this is working right now. I'm very aware and cognizant of my environment. I'm speaking with you. You might be listening or viewing this there. So that's your sympathetic nervous system that's working. When you're sleepy and tired, the parasympathetic nervous system is starting to become active. They should be balanced according to the seasons that you're in. And we'll talk about that because the food that you eat has a certain relevance and resonate with your body according to whether or not it's in season, your location. The other thing, and the most important thing, is does it resonate with your nervous system? So your nervous system dictates, excuse me, what type of food that you should consume. If you eat like that, you can maintain your health. More than likely, you will not ever run into a disease state. And if you do, the body will correct itself. It will self-correct. See, but I work with and believe patients based on what we see. Our patients are very, very sick. They're often we're like the end result of failed care elsewhere. That's when they come to us, when it should be the reverse. Working with, we're trying to get the patient to understand that they have to work with prevention. It's the most difficult thing to work. It's easier to work with a drug addict than to work with people and food, people who are addicted to food, and to try to change them to what the nervous system is saying about their body. It's a lot easier to work with a person who has one addiction, to a certain substance abuse, than it is to work with food addiction. Food addiction is very hard, and most doctors will fail. And that's the reason why when you look at, we talk about care, alternative healthcare, it's only about 8% of the population use alternative healthcare. That includes chiropractic. It might be moving toward 10% since 2019. It may move toward 10%. And the number of patients in terms percentage-wise who are fruitarians, vegetarians, vegans, they only comprise about 7% of the total population. So you can see there's a disparity between in regards to food. And I'm not saying this is the best way to eat. I use the fruitarian diet, the vegetarian diet, not so much the vegan diet, but the vegetarian diet and fruitarian and carnivore diet, because that's what the nervous system will say. But I use that fruitarian diet and the vegetarian diet as a detox mechanism. And the reason why I'm saying is because there's been studies that go all the way back to the early 1900s, late 1800s, where doctors have gone, or healthcare professionals have gone throughout the world to see different cultures. Um, I mean, they've been all over. We had one dentist, I told you to get his book in another video, uh, where he went throughout the entire world because he was not satisfied with the type of education that he received and the results he was getting from performing those protocols with his patients. And what he found was that people adapted to the type of food that was in their particular traditional location, their traditions, their habits, their cultures. And that food type is what kept him healthy. And he did not find any, in this case, he did not find any dental caries, any problems with their health, no matter where he went in the world. They were all different diets. But the one thing he said, he never met a culture. He circled the entire globe that was a fruitarian or a vegetarian. See, so vegetarianism, fruitarianism, this is something that's new. I don't disagree with it because it helps. Some patients, today, the education of the average patient comes through social media. 50% of it is correct, 50% of it is totally false. A lot of falsehoods. So I don't view a lot of that stuff. I don't, the patients, oftentimes you give me recommendations. I don't have the time to look at that stuff. Our education comes through books. We use more, better scientific means today with the computers and tablets and what have you. But ultimately, it comes through education through books and people who are trained in the sciences. Okay, so with that being said, I want to let you know that whatever you choose, it should be scientifically based. You should be tested. You should find out what is your nervous system saying about your body, and that'll determine what it is that you eat. And what we find is that we have so many patients who are sympathetic dominant. So that you cannot say that you have everybody should eat fruit and vegetables. Some people will not get better. They'll actually get sick. And especially people who have known certain oncology related illnesses, And I'm happy to say that there are medical doctors who are moving in this direction of healthcare. Now, they are somewhat like the pariah of their profession because their profession teaches them to treat disease. We don't treat diseases, but their profession teaches them to treat disease, and they use drugs and surgery. Now, that works in most acute cases and accidents, things of that nature. That's good. But for chronic illness, we find out that the patients, you have not adapted to that type of environment. You have not adapted to the foods that are highly processed, ultra processed foods. You just have not made that adaptation. And so as a result, you suffer with chronic illnesses, and chronic illnesses are not best treated by conventional medicine. So we look at a person who is, say, sympathetic dominant. That person needs a vegetarian, fruitarian type diet. They'll get better. But if you put that patient on a carnivore diet or a diet where they have ultra processed foods, eventually they'll get sick and they will contract some chronic illness, and ultimately they will succumb to that illness where the drugs will keep it, it will manage it, but they will ultimately die. You take a parasympathetic dominant person, rest and digest person, that person functions basically on a high calcium carnivore diet. They do better with that, see. And in terms of oncology, we're looking at the cancers are not like the hard tumors like breast, prostate, lung, liver cancer, colon cancer, where you have a definitive nodule. It may start out as, and now you have a tumor. Here they have soft tumors. These are tumors of the blood. Okay, your leukemias, your lymphomas. All right, they do much better. You feed that patient a fruitarian type diet, you'll kill that patient. They'll succumb to that illness. They will not get better. See, as a matter of fact, most patients will crave the food not processed foods. I'm saying they will crave the food that fits with that particular nervous system type. Then you have those who are balanced. It's quite a few people are balanced. They're partially parasympathetic when they need to be. They're sympathetic when they need to be. They're in the middle. So these patients basically will have to have a mixture. I call them mixers. Okay, they can be vegetarian. It'd be really based on the season that they're in and the foods that grow in that particular season. We'll go over that in another video. So that food will resonate in that season, and they probably will, well, I have to have fruit, or I have to have grains, or I have to have meat. And their bodies will function properly. They will live a long life without any problems. So you can't say that everybody needs fruit. Everybody's not a fruitarian. Everybody's not a vegetarian. Everybody's not can consume a carnivore type diet. So you have to be tested. That's what I'm saying. So what we've done was I've always had individualized diets for our patients, individualized supplementation. As a matter of fact, the supplements for a person who's sympathetic dominant is quite different from a person who is parasympathetic dominant. Your parasympathetic dominant patients, they don't get along well with diets that are high in vitamin C and vitamin D. They need more calcium. The patients who are sympathetic dominant need more potassium. They need more magnesium, a lot of magnesium. See, they need a lot of your B vitamins, but they don't do well with vitamin B12. The patients who are more who follow a carnivore type diet, they do much better with vitamin B12. See, they need that. So we have that in personalized supplements. We have specific detoxification programs. Detoxification is very important. Normally, your body detoxifies every 2 seconds. When all of the detoxification organs are working, we're talking about your liver, lungs, skin, kidneys when they're working, and the colon is working. Basically, through the process of methylation, every 2 seconds, 3 seconds, your body's going through a detox program. It's following certain pathways in the body that are designed to help manage and keep out the poisons from invading the body and upsetting the homeostasis in the body. So we have specific detoxification programs for every patient. All patients, no matter what program they're on, basically have to have colon therapy, have to have enemas. You have to accelerate the waste matter. When you're treating these patients, they have to have an acceleration of drainage. Okay, so patients who are fasting, you never start a fast, never partake of a fast or go through a fast without colon therapies and enemas. It's just you can't do it. Like I said, I have 41 years experience. If you want to invoke auto intoxication fast, you'll get benefits. Okay, but eventually will come back to haunt you through some sort of toxin or poison that did not leave the body during the fasting process. So, and it got into your bloodstream. So in the process of fasting, where you're into ketogenesis or ketosis, and the body is utilizing a lot of your fat for fuel, the brain uses ketones in that period of time. That waste matter from that fat has to go somewhere. So you have to drain the lymphatic system. You have to drain the colon. It's very important. So don't fast without colon therapy. Don't fast without enemas. Patients who have more intense or diseases or conditions that require a lot more drainage, add the coffee. The coffee enemas help, especially in cases where patients need binding of a lot of this waste material. We see that with a lot of our oncology patients. And like I said, we don't treat disease. So these patients usually come to us when all else has failed, and we put them on a program. That part of the sacrum and the chiropractors knows, because this is the area that we adjust, the sacroparasympathetics. Okay, that area actually stimulates the liver and the gallbladder to secrete certain nerves through neuronal stimulation, it'll cause your gallbladder and your bladder, your not the bladder, but your gallbladder and your liver to secrete more bile. Manufacture bile through the liver, you'll secrete it from the gallbladder, and this will go into the small intestine and into the large intestine, and it'll bind up a lot of this waste matter that you cannot get out with a regular bowel movement. There's no laxative, there are no herbal teas that will detox you more effectively than the enemas and the colonics. You can take them, but the effect is not there, and it will come back to give you problems. So the individualized diets are important. The detoxification is extremely important. But one or the other, patients should not try to bash the other because they have a certain feeling. A lot of it's emotional, and this is the things that you get off of social media. We don't do that. We test for it, and the doctors will test for it. So that's what you want. And for that reason, I'm saying that not everybody can be fruitarians. So I look at this and I'm saying that because it was found that through the travels of many doctors or healthcare practitioners, that there was no such thing as a vegetarian type diet. Even the ones who had a plant-based diet, basically in certain areas of Africa, they did eat some form or consume certain forms of meat. That's just the way that they were. And the Innu people, a lot of fat, no cardiovascular disease, no cancers, no dental caries. These people basically, you'll see where here we talk about how bad saturated fat, that's going to change. Where you see people who are of different cultures, that's all they consume is saturated fat, and they don't have diseases. Okay, so that's certainly not the diseases that we see in the Western world. So, but I do say that the vegan, vegetarian, and fruitarian way of eating is a good way of detoxifying the body, because what they have found, the people who use it, and it's usually a person who have had some sort of emotional trauma, or they've had some sort of condition where traditional medicine did not seem to help them, and they moved toward, just as a last resort, alternative care, and they got results. And so that person is a lifer when it comes to fruitarianism, vegetarianism, veganism. You'll have that person for life. They'll be like that for life. Okay. In terms of them suggesting to everyone else, you have to be tested. Okay. So this is one of those emotional kind of things. They had some sort of emotional trial that drove them to this here, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But to suggest that everyone else need to be like that, that's a no, because everybody's not like that. So when you see people who are quite different, even within the same family. You take 4 family members, you're going to find somebody that do not fit the profile of what you think that family should, what the nervous system should say. Their nervous system will be different. 1 out of 4 is going to be different. See, so they have to have a different way of eating, and more than likely, that family is going to have members all the way down where somebody's going to be sick and they can't figure out why. One is taking medicine, one is not taking anything at all. You're going to see a difference because they all can't eat the same type of food. The nervous system doesn't dictate that. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that before you embark on, it's nothing wrong with a garden, or if you live on a farm. I mean, that's going to be hard to find. But, I wouldn't embark on that until I get myself tested and found out whether or not I was balanced, parasympathetic, sympathetic, if I was sympathetic dominant, which you're going to have certain conditions, or if I was parasympathetic dominant, and that will yield certain conditions, see. And once you do that, then you can embark on trying to figure out how you're going to feed yourself. And believe it or not, that will change based on the seasons. We have 5 seasons. You have summer, late summer, winter, spring, and fall. That's going to change. So, which means that what? The food is going to change. because your nervous system changed. So you need to be able to be cognizant of the fact that your nervous system will say one thing based on the season, which will dictate the type of foods that you should consume for that season, which dictates your health. So, like I say, I would not say that everybody should be this or that. I have experience in it. You cannot eat fruits and vegetables if you are carnivore. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a carnivore. Whether you're carnivore, vegetarian, or fruitarian, vegan, you all need to have